Welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast, where we discuss Dynasty strategy, rankings, and all things NFL. So get ready to geek out on fantasy football with your host, Rich Dotson.
And welcome to the Dynasty Nerds Fantasy Football Podcast. I'm Rich Dotson. He's Matt O'Hara.
Hey.
Garret Price.
How's it going?
He's Jared Wackerly.
How you doing?
I'm doing okay. This is it. This is the last thing I'm doing before I go under the anesthesia for the first time in my entire life.
Oh, you've never done that?
No, I've never done it. That's the most thing I'm excited for. That's what I was like, there's one good thing about this. And the doctor was like, what? I was like, oh, I'm going to get knocked out under anesthesia. Like, that's kind of exciting for me. It's like, why? I was like, I don't know. I've never done it before. That's why.
You're not going to remember much of it, man. It's going to be like they tell you to count down from 10 and you get to about, 7, 6, and then it's
Rich will be one of those guys that like makes it to 15 or something.
Yeah. Secretly, that's my goal. Is like, how long can I fight it and try to stay up for it? I know it won't be much. There's nothing you can do about it, but it's like
doesn't get hangovers, doesn't puke.
Yeah, my brain's gonna see. But
he puked the other day.
I did for the first time ever being sick. I puked. Hence why I went to the ER in the first place. Hence why I'm getting tubes shoved up every orifice I have.
Every?
I might as well be. Might as well got free hands too if anybody wants to stop by.
Call you Body Blue.
Yeah. Hopefully it's just nothing big. Like I keep talking about like, oh, I gotta go in and get this done, but it's like it really is for like a medical reason that there's something wrong with me. So like I gotta figure out what's wrong with me in the first place. So who knows? Count down the days. I might be doing this podcast shorter and longer. Who knows? But today we're still here, and today we're talking NFC South. And where do you start when you go down south? You got to start with the Dirty Birds.
Yeah, Atlanta. Here we go. All right, so let's kick it off, man. Right off the rip here at quarterback, we have Michael Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins. Easton Stick is the third guy there. At the running back position, they obviously have got the phenomenal Bijan Robinson. They have Tyler Algier, some guy named Carlos Washington, who I've never heard of, and Elijah Dotson. At the tight end position, Kyle Pitts. He's still there. He's still kicking. Charlie Warner and Tegan Quinta or whatever. Doesn't matter. At the running back or at the wide receiver position, they have Darnell Mooney, Drake London, Ray McLeod, Casey Washington, Kadarius Hodges, thank you. Jamal Agnew. He used to be a Cleveland Brown, and I just tripped up and lost it.
Keenan Peele sketch over here.
Yeah. Aaron is in the house. And that's it, guys. Or Nick Nash is on this team. He's and DJ Chark, actually, my dude, just signed there last week.
Oh, wow. Right there.
Yep.
Again, a slim team to be excited about, right? Michael Penix is an unknown. ADP wise, he falls in. He's a low end QB2. Like now he's getting drafted, I think, outside the QB range. Even
QB 20.
QB 20. So right in that range, low end QB2, you're getting the upside of a young quarterback, but still a lot to. He didn't light up the charts when he came in for those 3 games. Drake London did. Bijan, the number 1 running back in Dynasty, number 1 running back in redraft. Like he's the guy. Like no need to talk about it. Garret bent me over like he was my proctologist last year when I gave him Bijan for Marvin straight up. So thanks for the early work to get in there and make sure I'm ready for tomorrow. But I think the biggest ascender here for somebody who's always been like an asset when it comes to Dynasty, but a guy who's taken the biggest ADP jump to be excited about here. And it ain't Kyle Pitts, folks. He's still where he is. There's still truthers out there, and Michael Penix says he's target him more, but it's Drake London, the 23-year-old stud wide receiver who, again, he kind of shows Drake London falls into this classic of, go ahead and slide Marvin Harrison Jr. in this name here as well. These top 10 NFL draft pick receivers or stud receivers that don't come out and dominate early, and we don't know for any different reasons, that are super talented, that the NFL usually takes outside of running back a couple years for some players to really acclimate, establish themselves. These young guys. So again, Drake London's only 23 years old. He's a year older than Marv.
He's 24 now.
Drake London, 24. So just turned 24. Came in and had a big breakout year. was a top, a wide receiver one. And why is that? Because he's the clear-cut weapon in this offense. We saw it when Michael Penix came in. He targeted him almost 40% of the time. Almost 40%. And now that Darnell Mooney's hurt, he's going to see another 40% of the targets when he comes in here. I mean, he dominated in that three-stretch span with Michael Penix. He had 22 catches, 352 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And Drake London's one of those big receivers who's a really good route runner and go and get the football. Hasn't shown us a ton with the ball in his hands, but a guy who can get open, separate, and grab the football. And for his size and his target share, he could be the sneaky guy that kind of offers, like everybody's like, oh, Manico Collins, that sneaky wide receiver one. I think Drake London offers sneaky wide receiver one upside for how many targets this guy's going to see in this offense, and the fact that you have to respect the run game with a guy like Bijan Robinson taking snaps there behind Michael Penix.
Yeah, I agree. Drake London is a guy that I have real high in my projections this season. I have him going into the season as wide receiver 5 on the year. So definitely very, very high expectations. The biggest thing is going to just be, I think the targets are going to be there. He had 157 last year. I'm projecting him around a similar amount this year. It's really going to be, how often are we getting in the end zone? That's going to be the big question mark. Can this team continue to sustain drives outside of just having to hand it to Bijan Robinson inside the 5, inside the 10? Can they give the ball to Michael Penix and he can make plays, specifically getting it to Drake London? So I think the target share is going to be there. I think the receptions are going to be there. I think the yards are going to be there. It's all comes down to, will there be the amount of touchdowns that you're looking for to be one of those top 5, type 6 guys, and maybe even potentially number 1 overall.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a stud. I don't think there's really much more to say about a guy like that. What I think about is like, who's the other guy? You know what I mean? Obviously, Darnell Mooney is there. Did okay last year, wide receiver 31 on the year. Just under 1,000 yards, 992. Is he a guy that you guys still feel pretty comfortable about? They didn't go out and get anybody of note. I mean, DJ Chark is there, but he's pretty washed at this point. Do you guys see anybody else kind of stealing the targets? He had 106 last year for Mooney. Anybody gobbling any of those up, or kind of just another year of solid numbers, but nothing fantastic for a guy like Mooney?
Yeah, I think Mooney slides right in the same role he had last year. Same exact thing.
Agreed.
With upside, because without Kirk Cousins there, and Kirk Cousins' arm was dead last year, it seemed, for the most part. Couldn't put enough oomph on the ball. And we know Michael Penix got extremely strong ball, and Darnell Mooney's a really good take the top off kind of the defense receiver. Maybe even a little bit better, like production wise for Mooney. Maybe you can get like high end wide receiver 3 production out of Mooney.
I think what we're looking to see is, where's that completion percentage? Because he was slightly below 50% or 60% last year for Michael Penix. Can he get into that 62 to 64% completion range? Because if he's doing that, then this offense could support more weapons than just Drake London and Bijan Robinson. Those are the only ones that I feel good about and can count on.
Yeah.
But a Mooney could get, another wide receiver 3 type season. Right now I have Kyle Pitts at tight end 12. Is there room for him to do better than that? Sure, but that's going to take twofold. One, Kyle Pitts being better and more consistent than he's been, and Michael Penix really taking that next step this year into being a guy with a live arm that is just a little erratic at times, to a guy that can be more of a game manager. And I know that's normally a bad thing, but I think we would like to see more game manager attributes out of him this year. So that's really what's going to determine, I think, guys like Pitts and Mooney, because we know Drake and Bijan are established. That's where we're going to have to wait and see.
A situation to monitor, because somebody's going to merge, right? Like, how's this offense going to flow early in the season? I'm gonna keep my I'm gonna pay attention to that, right, to see where they're valued. Because there was 2 years ago, there's value on Mooney, right? Mooney was putting up wide receiver 2 numbers, and you can get him for like a 3rd round pick at a time, and he could have helped you out throughout the playoffs. So like, if Mooney come back in there, you still get really good value on a guy like Mooney, or somebody else steps up. Like, I feel like whoever it is will be the guy. I lean towards Mooney, but we never know how this offense can kind of like shake out and what it could turn into. Who the other receiver be? Like, Ray McLeod, unlikely. Like right. Daryl Hodge, unlikely. But maybe it is DJ Chark for one last emergence. Maybe a guy like Jamal Agnew could step up, or Nick Nash paddywhack. You know what I mean? Like, we'll have to see how it plays out. Maybe they sign a guy that gets cut. Maybe they make a deal with Green Bay. You know, unlikely with a division opponent.
That's what I was just going to say. Green Bay could be another destination for a Green Bay receiver.
But I mean, all signs are pointing to Bijan's going to be running back 1 overall, and Drake London's going to be a top 3 fantasy receiver, right? And everything else follow. You hope, like everybody who's invested, you hope it's Kyle Pitts takes a big step forward, right, into that year 4. He already had his breakout in year 1, but rebound year 4. Still, again, he's only 24 years old, right? 25 years old, like plenty of time for Kyle Pitts, and maybe into a new system now. New head coach, new quarterback. Maybe Kyle Pitts can reestablish himself because the talent's there, right? Like we make fun of it all the time. Like Kyle Pitts, oh, that's it. Everybody keeps holding it. The talent's there. He did in college. He did his first year as a rookie. Like the potential is there for Kyle Pitts. He knows like he's just got to produce it. The dude wants to get paid. He's got the draft capital. Maybe this is a year Kyle Pitts can kind of step up and kind of reestablish himself as an elite fantasy asset, because we always talk about you need to be the number 1 or number 2 target in an offense to be elite. Right now, we know Drake London's number 1, but as shitty as it's been for Kyle Pitts, there's a very clear path for him to be the number 2 weapon in this offense and kind of reestablish himself as an elite dynasty asset, and maybe even like leapfrog guys like Sam Laporta, TJ Hawkinson, George Kittle. This could be a situation. Again, I know it sounds outrageous because we've been burned for 3 years straight, but Kyle Pitts could find himself as the tight end 3 by 6 months from now, right behind Trey McBride and Brock Bowers, right? Sure. Like there is path for that. And again, a big gamble, but man, like you guys have said, who else are they throwing the football to?
And the thing is, he's been running with the wide receivers as well throughout the early portions of camp. I haven't heard maybe the past week or so about him, but there was talk about him basically just going out there and working with the wide receivers. So I think maybe they're kind of viewing him a little bit more like that this year, which could only help his dynasty value as long as he still has that tight end designation at the end of the day. Who cares how the team views him? You know what I mean? Even better if they view him as a wide receiver strictly and not as a tight end. So I think that could all be good for a guy like Pitts. But let's moving back to the quarterback real quick. Obviously, we know Penix is going to be the guy there. But what do you guys see as far as Kirk Cousins' value? Obviously, this year, the only way he's getting on the field is if Penix gets injured. But this is like the last year of the deal where he's kind of locked in here at Atlanta. Is there still value in a guy like Cousins? Or the last time we saw him, he was kind of too beat up and looked washed? You guys are kind of uninterested in him long term.
Oh, long term. Yeah,
I mean, not long term, but just like, in the future.
37.
Yeah, he's past the age marker. His arm again, it had nothing to do with his Achilles last year. That's the problem. His arm just looked dead. Like no zip on the ball, couldn't push and we saw it with all the interceptions, right? Like he couldn't put the ball where he wanted to, where he was used to. I've heard that there were other things wrong with him, like specifically shoulder was dinged up a little bit last year. So could that be that he just needed time to heal in this offseason, and his 37-year-old shoulder's fine now? I mean, who knows? I'd be the same value as like when Ryan Fitzpatrick came and looked good for a little bit with the Bills, and every time he slid in somewhere, you know what I mean? Like there's no dynasty value, right? Like at all.
You're just holding them if you have them.
Yeah, you would hold in super flex leagues if you have them, and that's about it. And then you hope, like, if he gets any start, you could trade him for any draft pick you can get, 4th round pick, 3rd, like, you know what I mean? Whatever you could possibly get. Like,
wait for an injury, and then
he was less exciting than going in with Aaron Rodgers if he was even healthy. You know what I mean? Like, if he would have went to the Browns, say everything happened like we thought possibly, like, oh, they cut him, on $1 million a year, the Browns would have been a clear path with Kevin Stefanski there. Like, I'm still not excited about. Like, I'd still prefer Aaron Rodgers for 1 year in Pittsburgh over Kirk Cousins as a starter in Cleveland or somewhere else. The way he played football last year was very unexcited. So, to me, it was a good run, exciting, interesting career, made a boatload of money, a great dynasty asset if you got him in Superflex leagues coming out and after RG3. But I think that story has come to a close, and I would actually feel comfortable cutting him in a Superflex league if I had to make a move where I don't want to, but like I wouldn't be sad about it. Like I'm like, oh, I hope nobody picks up Kirk Cousins. Like, okay, wait.
I'm not there.
Xavier-
I'm a little bit more hopeful than you. I think, maybe a year sitting down might be okay for a guy like that, who I think was just dinged up last year and looked extremely bad and extremely old all of a sudden. He might be able to at least sling the ball a little bit better.
But where, Matt? Where is this opportunity going to come from? There's no like anything that's going to be bad is going to go.
Teams, guys always get hurt. There could easily be a team that would just say, "Oh crap, Brock Purdy got hurt. Oh crap, JJ McCarthy got hurt. Oh crap." Like players get hurt. So I mean, he would still be a player that I think he's at least worth the roster spot. Like I'm cutting a lot of wide receivers or deep tight ends before I'm cutting Kirk Cousins.
Joe Flacco or Kirk Cousins?
Flacco.
Yeah, probably Flacco, but it's
enough said for Kirk Cousins' value. Thank you. Next team, please.
All right, let's move on to the next team. That is a fine point to end on, I think. We'll go to the Carolina Panthers. Their QB situation is Bryce Young and Andy Dalton. And then at running back, they have Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle.
Andy who, Matt? Come on.
What'd you say?
Andy who?
Andy Dolphin. What did I say?
There it is.
Did I say Dalton? That was a slip of the tongue. Andy Dolphin. Sorry. All right, back to the running backs. Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Trevor Etienne. Obviously, my guy Imani Bailey is on this team as well. I don't know if that's obvious or not. What's his name? Jonathan? What's his name?
Brooks.
Brooks.
Thank you. Jonathan Brooks is on IR. We'll see if he ever comes back. I forgot his name already. That's how irrelevant that guy became quickly.
Second round pick, Matt. Come on.
We saw happen with Dobbins.
Yeah, I know. At tight end, they got Tommy Tremble, Jatavian Sanders, who's having a great camp from all accounts. Mitchell Evans at the wide receiver position. We have Tet McMillan, Xavier Leggett, Adam Thielen, David Moore, Jalen Coker, and Jimmy Horn Jr., who's also putting together some nice little splash plays. And then Hunter Renfrow also signed there. Recently unretired Hunter Renfrow.
Obviously ADP value, Bryce Young, somebody who I've kind of like hyped up a little bit from a value standpoint, was a QB1 when he came back as a starter last year. Played like a QB1 with the weapons he had around him. They draft the number 8 overall pick. They bring in Tet McMillan to give him another weapon, which to me is fantastic news for Tet McMillan, because he's going to see so many targets. It's going to be like Tet, it could be a sneaky wide receiver 1 this year just on how many targets he's going to see. Now, that being said, they also spent a first-round pick last year, now a top 10 pick on a receiver as well, Xavier Leggett. And Matt, I know you were the highest amongst all of us on a Xavier Leggett, and you even got me to draft a couple Leggett shares on your hit rate at receivers. How do you obviously if Leggett can hit, and Tet McMillan should be a very fine asset, this is going to be great news for a guy like Bryce Young. And you mentioned Jatavian Sanders has had a great camp so far. Like, I want to kind of bypass Bryce Young right now, like, and talk about Xavier Leggett, because he's a first-round receiver who was hurt last year. His first-round pedigree that like seems like it's just fallen off the 80. Like, I don't even know what his ADP is.
It's wide receiver 62, but he's over the last 30 days he's fallen the most on this team. He's fallen 2 rounds.
Yeah. So wide receiver 62 for a receiver that has first-round pedigree just a year ago and who was hurt last year on kind of a doo-doo team, to be honest with you, Matt. So, like, what do you think, like, when it comes to value, when now you see his ADP at 62, Matt? What are your thoughts on Xavier Leggett? Because I think you're the person I want to hear the most from on this.
No, obviously Tet McMillan going there is a hit for his overall ceiling, right? I mean, I think that's probably why you're seeing this kind of fall in ADP, where you get a guy last year with a lot of hopes and dreams, and he doesn't even crack Garrett's 500-yard mark. So we know there's almost a 0% chance of this guy doing anything. But I'm saying that kind of tongue in cheek. He just missed out on that, and he was banged up. Xavier Leggett is a big physical guy. I do believe, having him and McMillan opposite each other, they can work in tandem. They can both be out there doing their thing at the same time. They're going to win in kind of slightly different ways. And the other guys on the roster, Adam Thielen, super duper old, Renfro, also on this roster and doing well from the early reports. Those are little possession guys. You know what I mean? They're Adam Thielen, this is for sure his last year. He's kind of already come out and said that. And all the rest of the guys on this roster right now are kind of going to be fighting for scraps, I feel like, between the guys you just mentioned, Tet McMillan, Xavier Leggett, Jatavian Sanders. I do think Leggett has got a somewhat cap on his ceiling now. Whereas, last year I thought he had a great opportunity to kind of hit the ground running. And if he did, they wouldn't have needed to go out and get a guy like Tet. But we know this offense, this was the Tampa Bay offense, before, from 2 years ago when they had a guy like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin both kind of hitting on all cylinders. I feel like they can both operate and be fantasy relevant. I just think Leggett's probably capped at kind of a wide receiver 2 now, where Tet McMillan, if he hits the ground running, which he sounds like he's having a pretty decent camp and wowing some people, he's going to be like that alpha, and Leggett's going to be the number 2 with high upside. But that's kind of how I see it nowadays.
Well, one of the big things that I'm really looking for in this offense this year overall is I want to see if they can push the ball down the field. League average for yards per attempt was around the 7.4 mark. Bryce Young was one of the worst in the league at 6.3 yards per attempt. So that's the big thing that I want to see is, can we be efficient in this offense? Because he obviously, if he increases his completion percentage, that will help. He was only at 60.9% completion percentage. So if he can increase that, that would help a little bit. But we also just need to get the ball down the field more. And that's one of the things that he's never been amazing at, but he has been a fairly accurate quarterback. So I'm kind of curious to see if he's able to take that next step in maturation, because if so, it does totally unlock this offense. If not, though, they could be going right back to the well and drafting a quarterback next year on a class that has some good upside names. So that's going to be, I think, the key cog in all of this for me.
Yeah, and Bryce, I mean, when I was watching his tape coming out, that's something he struggled outside the numbers and pushing the ball downfield. That's where like one of the biggest struggles I saw from outside of his like height, obviously, and his build. But he did come in and play last year when he got that second chance. Like his hair was on fire. He played extremely well. So I am excited. I'm looking forward toward that as well. I think Tet McMillan is a great candidate to kind of keep things for him there. I think McMillan has a good chance to go over 1,000 yards receiving. I think we'll see a ton of targets there, easily over 100 targets year one. And what's interesting about his team as well, like, there's a lot of upside. Like Matt said, Leggett, he's still on Leggett. There's some upside there from a value, definitely from wide receiver 62. Even McMillan has a chance to take a big ADP jump if he finishes like as a wide receiver 1. His rookie year, even top 15, we can see ADP jump there. Jatavian Sanders, we mentioned, but running back right now, we've mentioned his name. I know during roster rescue, Garrett, you and I have mentioned Chuba Hubbard's name a ton of time. It's a great go out there and get running back when it comes to value, right? Somebody who everybody's kind of looking at Chuba as like, well, he's been in the league a little bit, just got this extension. Jonathan Brooks, who knows how it's going to last? This is kind of a short-term window. Well, folks, all running backs outside the elite are short-term window guys, right? That's how they all should be viewed. What is known is Chuba Hubbard is the guy there in Carolina once again. He didn't really establish himself until week 2, and then he didn't play week 17. He got hurt. But from weeks 2 to week 16 in PPR leagues last year, he was running back 9 overall. Running back 9. So running back 1 numbers that you can get out of a guy that you do not have to pay a running back 1 pricing. And when we're all searching for running back help, like who's the guy who's going to help me out this year? Like, and when it comes to a price standpoint, and you might think of like old guys like Joe Mixon right now, because of his foot injury, it's probably a really good buy. Because his value's depressed right now with that foot injury, and with the Nick Chubb news coming out of camp saying, "Hey, man, he's got no second gear right now at the second or third level." That to me, I think Joe Mixon can be a very good value. You might think it's like a guy like Alvin Kamara, even right in the Saints, who consistently has been an all-time great running back. But like I would argue, I think one of the best values out there right now is one of the younger guys. It's going to be a guy like Chuba Hubbard. You can go out there if you're a contender. I think some people will be very excited about giving up taking a first-round pick for Chuba Hubbard, and you're giving him a first-round pick that you hope to be a late first-round pick for what you hope to be low-end running back 1 numbers, but running back 2 numbers, which is just fine, which is, again, if he's healthy, championship caliber numbers. And at least he has an opportunity to go into, and most likely 2026 is a starting running back as well.
Based on our trade browser, looks like you can get him for a second. A lot of the trades straight up for Chuba Hubbard is just a second-round pick.
Really? So 2 seconds. A second
if
and
that's
third.
the case,
first.
Yeah, if that's the case, I'm thrilled. When I did my projections, he was another one that kind of stood out as, oh, he's got a better ceiling than I kind of would have anticipated before doing my projections. So you think of like all of the big name running backs. So let's start down with like running back 18. So running back 18, I have James Conner. Running back 17, Breece Hall. Running back 16 is James Cook. Then Chase Brown at 15, Kenneth Walker at 14, and then we get to Chuba Hubbard at running back 13. So I have him projected just outside of the top 12, and part of that is because I project him to get a lot of work, but he was also a lot more efficient on the ground than some of these other running backs that get the big workloads. So I think that was a big thing for me when kind of digging into his numbers is, man, he is just such an inexpensive asset that could be a really, really solid RB2 this season.
Yeah, his ADP is RB21. So, yeah, that's...
Love it.
It's value. It's just value. And like, again, people are like, and this is a guy you said, if it takes a deal, get done, like, hey, I'll throw you Jarquez Hunter in a second, right? Like throw him back like a young, like running back who offers some upside for like, again, you're talking about a late second too, if you're a contender, like, oh, here's pick 20. Here's pick 23, best case pick 24, and Jarquez Hunter for a running back 1, high-end running back 2. So I think Chuba Hubbard definitely falls into the value line of dynasty assets. And honestly, I think you throw the whole mold of the Carolina Panthers in there. If you want to chase upside value right now for what he's going for, Bryce Young, right? If he phases out, maybe he gets replaced, maybe, but he still got the first overall pedigree. He showed us something the second half, a ton the second half. Tet McMillan, where his ADP is, still offers the upside of value. Xavier Leggett, tremendous value. Jatavian Sanders, value, right? So there's like a lot of upside here in Carolina that if you're a contender or even possibly rebuilding, just to add to your roster for the right price point. Now, are we all excited about those players outside Tet? No, but we don't have to be excited to find value. So, all right, before we go on to our next team, I got to tell you about our friends over at myffpc.com. I mentioned before, time is running out to join new leagues. I get it, but, we won't be talking about myffpc.com in season because, listen, once the season starts, there's nothing to talk about. It's the nitty-gritty, baby. You're playing in your leagues, and that's what myffpc does best. They let you play in your leagues with confidence that your dynasty team is going to be there next year, the year after that. You could trade for picks down the future because these leagues at myffpc, they never fold, right? You don't have to worry about Larry getting divorced or Joey losing his job, right? Like those leagues are there and you got to find a replacement. And it offers you so many different leagues: Triflex, Superflex, RotoViz, Superflex, Triflex, like Superflex, tight end premium, any different league you want to play in that you haven't had a chance to because you only know so many people get into leagues and you want to join a league with confidence. MyFFPC is going to give you that. So leagues are running out. We are running out of time to join new leagues. So get in there now because after that, we're going to talk about 6 months orphans to buy when they open up the orphan field, which is another great opportunity for you to buy their orphans. But listen, if you want to get in one more league before the season starts and you want to take all this knowledge to get you up to this point, you know all the rookies, you love the ADP where it stands. I just got in a new league. I broke my promise of not joining new leagues this year. I did it. You can do it too. MyFFPC.com. Use the promo code NERDS. They're going to hook you up. $25 off any league you join, whether it be a $75 league, a $2,000 league. They got the league for you, and we're going to give you $25 for supporting our partner. And all you got to type in the word nerds. We love it. Check them out, myffpc.com.
Yeah, and I've got to make sure I tell you guys about Fast Draft because we're running an awesome deal with Fast Draft. If you want an extra podcast, you want all the tools that we talk about, the GM, all of that. If you join Fast Draft and you just deposit $10, which personally I'd recommend depositing 50 because they're going to double it. But if you just deposit $10, we're going to give you an absolutely free year of the Dynasty Nerds GM bundle, which is basically everything we have. Anything you want, it's a full buffet of options here at Dynasty Nerds. But on top of that, you could still win money. If you're good at best ball, you understand the values of some of these players. They've been filling up tournaments like crazy. They've got the Rabbit open up right now that you can get in before the season starts, because time is starting to tick away trying to get these best ball teams in time. So head on over to Fast Draft, use promo code NERDS. Like I said, we'll double your deposit and you can get a free year of the Dynasty GM bundle. So appreciate you guys checking them out. Head over there, Fast Draft, look at the app, use promo code NERDS today.
All right, let's get back into it here with the New Orleans Saints. Ooh, this is going to be a fun one. All right, at the quarterback position, we have got Spencer Rattler, Tyler Shough, Jake Haener. One of those guys is going to be a starter. One of those guys is going to be a third round or a third guy, and one of them is going to be the backup. We have no idea who's who. This is going to be a mess. At the running back position, we have Alvin Kamara and the who's who of guys that you know and that have really just done nothing. After Alvin Kamara, we've got Kendra Miller, Devin Neal, Cam Akers, Velus Jones, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and Marcus Yarns. So that is a crowded room there at the running back position with a bunch of guys that who knows if they can actually play football. At the tight end position,
Jones
we have
is a running back now.
He is a running back.
I didn't even know that.
Wow. Yeah, he's one of those tweener guys. At the tight end position, we have Juwan Johnson and Foster Moreau. Obviously, Taysom Hill is there as well. Who knows what the heck position he's going to play, but he's listed as a tight end. At the wide receiver position, we have Chris Olave, Brandon Cooks, Rashid Shaheed, Mason Tipton, Kevin Austin, Cedric Wilson, Bub Memes, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Dante Pettis. There is so many names here, and who knows if any of them can play. They just lack backups here. It's insane. But let's get into it, fellas.
Yeah, it's hard. Like, listen, I like Chris Olave. I think he's a very solid receiver. Very hard to get excited about when the quarterback situation looks so grim. Rashid Shaheed's the other receiver you'd want to own outside of that. But listen, the only thing here, kind of go back to Chuba Hubbard. I mentioned his name, Alvin Kamara. If you have Olave, he's hard to sell right now anyways. And you might as well just hold him. He's only 24 and he still offers upside. But if you're looking to Pete, Kamara still falls in that category, man. When you talk about all-time great fantasy football running backs, you can't talk about them unless if you don't mention Alvin Kamara. And you're like, yeah, Rich, but he's 30 years old, right? He's going to turn 30 this year. He turned 30 this year. That's fine. What did Alvin Kamara do on an absolutely horrendous team once again? Weeks 1 through 17, running back 8 overall. And why is Alvin Kamara so elite when it comes to fantasy football? It's because his receiving chops. Year in, year out, he gets the ball in his hands. He's electric. Kamara is number one. If you go over the last 2 years, he has the most receptions amongst all running back. He has 143. He's got over 1,000 yards, 1,009 rushing yards. And for me, again, if he finds himself on a team that doesn't feel like to compete, maybe this is a guy you can actually sneak away value and get for like a couple seconds. Because when I play in PPR leagues, these are the kinds of guys that like thrive every single year. And honestly, it's one of those reasons, like, because Trevion Henderson's a bigger than, like these kind of running backs, these PPR running backs, if you could find a guy that, could stay healthy and be on the team and be efficient, they can give you unbelievable efficiency year in and year out. And Kamara's done just that. Like, he's before him it was LaShawn McCoy, before him it was LaDainian Tomlinson, like those guys that you like. Now we hope it's like going to be Bijan, right? End of that tier. But it's hard to find those guys that are elite, like not good, but elite year in and year out. And that's what Kamara does. And I think he has it in him to do it for another year, because Matt, you mentioned those doo-doo butter quarterbacks. Like,
ooh,
listen,
man,
they got to get the ball out of their hands quick. And who's gonna be the guy they're going to scheme the ball to quick? It's going to be Alvin Kamara.
No doubt about it, man. Kamara is one of those. He's a diamond in the rough. When you're looking at this whole team. Yeah, he's an enigma. He's he's what you're looking for. He's the standard as far as guys you want on your team for a long term. You mentioned Bijan. I would think Bijan is more of like a Saquon type. I think Devon Achane is probably the new type of Alvin Kamara guy who's
That's
more
better, yeah.
reliant on the just catching passes. So that's who I think of when I think of who could be the next Alvin Kamara. So, but if you could find him, that's ideally for the longevity. That's great, because if they're staying healthy, maybe they're not getting as many between the tackles touches, and that can help elongate a player's career as long as they're supplementing the fantasy points with receptions. That's great. So love him. Obviously, Olave is a fine player. I like Rashid Shaheed as well on this team. I think he's going to have kind of a sneaky year here, as far as becoming the number 2. Apparently, he bulked up a little bit, up in the 180-pound range, 10, 15 pounds up from what he has been playing with in the past to kind of combat some of the injuries and little, nicks and bruises that he's had and kind of struggled through in the past. So I'm expecting some good stuff from him also.
I like the Shaheed call a lot because what do we know is going to likely be true about this team? They're going to be down, and they're going to be down often, and they're going to need to throw and make big plays to try to come back. So it would not shock me. Like I don't necessarily have it projected this way right now because it's definitely a little more on hopium more than anything else. But it wouldn't shock me at all if Shaheed ended up like sneaking in as a wide receiver too. He could just have one of those kind of random outlier seasons that you don't see coming. But just because this team is always down, always needing to throw the football, he ends up there in that kind of top tier of guys. So definitely a name that I'm keeping an eye on as we go through.
Definitely, you have kick returns. You get points for kick returns in your league. Shaheed's a great asset from that standpoint.
Yep, absolutely.
And I guess real quick before we move on from the Saints, I have to mention their cap situation because it's gotten drastically better. They got rid of Lattimore and got him off the books, and obviously getting Carr off the books. They're actually $20 million under the cap. They have some space. They have $87 million of dead money that's going to come off the books next year. They might have actually gotten lucky with the Carr kind of retirement, the way he did it, that they're able to operate again and kind of maybe start signing some players. I mean, not that there's a lot to sign. I feel like they're still dealing with a pretty old roster. But I think the rebuild here for the Saints has kind of begun. As soon as Carr retired, I think that kind of just pushed their hand a bit. And this is going to be a roster I think we're going to see quite a bit of turnover on in the next year and a half, just because they had to dig themselves out, and they kind of by default did. And now they're going to have to start this process, I think, of rebuilding this team going forward. Something I've been calling for years. So I'm glad they finally took that step.
For years.
Yeah.
You've been concerned about their cap situation for years. And to be fair, they haven't done anything. So for years, because they can't.
They're going to be pretty bad.
They are going to be bad. The Saints are going to be bad for a few years. But that's okay. That's sometimes you got to dig yourself out of that hole.
Hey guys, we are super excited to announce that we have a show that we've been doing for a few months now called Roster Rescue. It's every Monday at noon, and sometimes we even do extra shows if we have a lot of roster rescues to do. But basically what it is, it's an opportunity for us to take a look at your guys' teams, your specific team, and say, hey, I think you should go into rebuild. Hey, I think you are a contending team. Hey, trade for this guy. Hey, maybe look to make this move. We get eyes and hands on your specific team. So if you want to do that, go ahead and head to the website, go under the store tab, and go down to Roster Rescue. Go there, use promo code RESCUE10, and you'll get 10% off. So head there today. It's a great opportunity for us to come rescue your rosters.
All right, so moving on to the Tampa Bay Bucks. We'll start at the quarterback position. Baker Mayfield, Kyle Trask, some guy named Michael Pratt, who's their third guy. Never heard of him. At the running back position, Bucky Irving, Rashad White, Sean Tucker. At the tight end position, Cade Otton, Payne Durham, some guy named Ko O'Keefe. At the wide receiver position, we have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, Trey Palmer, Jalen McMillan, Sterling Shepard, Raheem Jarrett, anybody? And that's about it from that standpoint.
Tez Johnson too.
Oh, Tez Johnson. Where is he?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tez Johnson. I missed him. I'm sorry.
It's all right. He's like the only one you left off that's like in the ADP output.
Yep. No, I did not. Yeah, he was next row. I missed him.
Well, it's good to see that I was right once again. My boy Baker Mayfield finally established himself as elite quarterback. Getting a ton of praise now. Just got it not extended, but they gave him one more guaranteed year in Tampa Bay. They're probably going to sign him long term. But weeks 1 through 17 last year, Baker Mayfield was QB5 overall, right behind the Jaden Daniels, like right behind him. It was Jaden Daniels. This is crazy to think about. Weeks 1 through 17. Jaden Daniels scored one more point than Baker Mayfield.
Wow.
You wouldn't have guessed that, right? Like not even close.
I mean, with all that rushing upside and all that kind of stuff, I would have expected that to be a bigger gap for sure.
Joe Burrow scored 7 more points than Baker Mayfield over the whole year. Josh Allen scored 25 more points over the whole year. It's 2 points per game than Baker Mayfield. So he really has established himself, and his weapons are even better this year. He's got Chris Godwin come back. A little bit more worried about Chris Godwin. He's not practicing yet, so we got to hopefully start the season. But like Emeka fills in that void so perfectly for Godwin. You still got Mike Evans. You still got a strong running game in Bucky Irving. You still got a great, solid offensive line, definitely being anchored by a guy like Tristan Wirfs out there. So for me, like looking at this from a super flex standpoint, Baker's the number one asset on this team, correct? From a super flex standpoint? I know some people will take Bucky Irving, possibly. But, I mean, Baker's really established himself as the guy there in Tampa Bay.
They're like a round apart in ADP.
But Baker's still ahead, right?
Yeah.
No. Bucky Irving's ADP is 30. Baker's at 41.
Ooh, that's value to me then.
Startups are different than trades. I get it.
Yeah.
But, I don't get that.
It's true. Yeah. For me, I think Baker Mayfield truly just has established himself as that guy. I know some people are ageist and they don't want older quarterbacks, but you hold on to a quarterback 4 or 5 seasons. Like that's eternity in fantasy football. Many leagues don't even last that long, unfortunately. So Baker Mayfield, I still think is just a screaming value. And I'm loving we've talked about this a couple times. I'm loving just waiting on quarterback in some of these startups. If you have a startup, just wait on quarterback. Take some in the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th round. Yep. Get yourself Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, Jordan Love, Jared Goff, Dak Prescott. Like these are not the sexy names. They're not the guys that people are going to be like, oh my gosh, you got him. But what are they going to do? They're going to put up darn near quarterback 1 numbers. Or if not, they're going to be inside of the top 6, 7, 8 at quarterback. And you're going to be able to capitalize on the lack of running backs, get a young stud receiver. So I think Baker Mayfield is one of the kings of that strategy of just kind of waiting and getting a guy. But how do we feel about Bucky Irving moving forward? Like, how would you guys value him, knowing him that he is a running back that was a lower draft capital guy, but we've seen lower draft capital guys come out and blossom and take the role, and it's theirs for the long term. So are you at what is he right now, Jared? What running back?
RB
9, 10? 7. All right. So at running back 7, are you guys buying that? Are you guys selling that? Or that seems about right. I'd rather just hold.
Okay. A lot of people are going to like this take, but I like Bucky Irving. He's a nice running back. But even you go back after the bye last week when Bucky probably had his best stretch outside of one game, weeks 13 through 17, Bucky Irving was running back 11 overall, even that stretch. I think Bucky Irving, to me, is a player that I would love to capitalize on and pivot off of and grab another running back plus and let all this hype of like the fact where his ADP is. He's the kind of player I want to take advantage of this ADP. We said this is one of the strongest running back classes we've seen in a while come in. People are going to establish themselves here, going to push guys down. The Baker's out there slinging the ball. They have a ton of weapons to throw the football to. They even got Cade Otton out there. I think Bucky Irving is a player that, like, if I can pivot for like a Josh Jacobs plus, for example, right? Like if I can get a running back that still helps me contend, but get some good, honestly, even like a Quinshon Judkins plus, can I get any of these running backs I like, a Caleb Johnson, an RJ Harvey plus, right? Like, and those guys probably offer a significant plus. These running backs that like these Bucky Irvings that kind of pop in, I don't see from his traits. When I saw on film, I don't see Bucky Irving as like an elite running back, a good running back, none for sure, like a good running back, but not an elite running back, not a running back that's going to establish himself in this top tier 1. And honestly, guys, if you're not a tier 1 running back for me, essentially, like, and I consider Devon Achane in that he's not tier 1, but like he's an upper echelon running back. Like those are the pieces I always want to be the most fluid on my roster. Running back's the easiest position to replace. Usually the cheapest in season as well. When you find these guys that just find themselves as part-time roles, or old running backs are very easy to get, like a James Conner, right? Someone on those lines, like an old guy. I would love to kind of capitalize on Bucky Irving and just try and like take that ADP and just tear down and get another running back plus. And I would hope, even if it's not a receiver that I like, I said like a Jameson Williams or a Josh Downs with running back solid, but like, can I just get a first? And I think right now here's what's telling me. Bucky Irvin's telling me that I can get another running back that I could start that could give me the same points per game probably on a value wise and get a first on top. And if I'm getting a 27 first on top plus another running back I could start, then I'm way more likely to move off a guy like Bucky Irving, because we do this every year. Like if you're not new to us, please go back and listen to our episodes that we do every year. Like, what are the odds of being a running back 1 more than once, wide receiver 1 more than once? The odds of Bucky Irving being into that tier of being a running back 1 more than 2 times is so slim to none that like I love to take advantage of these young running backs that I don't think are elite talents, but are good fantasy football running backs, and pivoting for more assets. Just my own personal feeling on Bucky Irving. Like the player though, this is not a diss on Bucky Irving, and I think he'll be just fine this year, but this is the hashtag 2 to 3 year window that I'm trying to capitalize on. And if I can't, I'm okay with having him as well.
Bucky and Amari on Hampton are going to pick apart in ADP. And I was just looking at some trades that have gone down for Bucky, and there is a trade that's straight up for Hampton, Bucky Irving. Then there's a Bucky Irving and a second for Hampton, which I'm still personally, I'd be cool with that. Yeah.
I was okay. I was okay with just Travion straight up. That was going to be my comment next was, can I just get Travion Henderson straight up?
Travion's a full round after Bucky. So you might be able to get
Travion in a second.
I'd be cool with Travion straight up too, Garrett.
Yeah. So I do think that there's value there right now, just to make seemingly lateral moves even. Or if you're a strong contender, okay, can I get Derrick Henry in a first, for somebody that's trying to get younger at the running back position? Like, I think there's a lot of moves around Bucky. And this is, once again, not a Bucky diss. I think he could easily still be a top 12 guy this season. It's just, what's the long-term outlook, and are there players with some higher ceilings and that maybe offer a little bit more longevity? I think that's the potential move for me there. Right now, projected the season, I haven't projected pretty solid on the year. I haven't projected as RB9. So it's not that I think he's going to have a bad year. I think he's going to have a good year. But I just think that there's some long-term assets that I like a little more.
This is Dynasty.
Right, we're playing Dynasty, and what nobody mentioned and that I think is noteworthy is Rashad White is in the last year of his deal. So they're likely, who knows what round, but they're likely to bring in a back of some kind next year. And who knows if that person is a bigger back that could maybe take more of the workload. And then we see Bucky Irving's, touches between the tackles kind of dwindle, and then he becomes just a PPR guy. It can all affect his value as early as next year. So, and if they find a guy that they really love and it's early, maybe it really affects his whole workload going forward. So while we think Bucky Irving is clearly better than Rashad White, who knows if Bucky Irving is clearly better than the guy that they might bring in next year to replace Rashad White. It is kind of how I see that.
And look at the receivers here. I mean, Emeka Egbuka, outside of Ashton Genty, Garrett, I remember you and I specifically saying this is probably the safest player in the draft.
Absolutely.
And every single report since OTAs has come out that they absolutely love this kid. Absolutely love him. We saw this offense can support Baker support 2 really good fantasy receivers. We saw that Baker supported wide receiver 1 overall in Chris Godwin, and Emeka, he compares to Chris Godwin pretty heavily. There's a very clear path for Emeka Egbuka with wide receiver 1, not overall, but wide receiver 1 production upside here. And again, what looks like an overpay today is underpay tomorrow. With the receiving class a little bit uncertain for next year, I would have no problem going strong overpay with an old veteran, my first and second next year, a running back or a receiver somebody needs to go ahead and get Emeka. I think 2026, potentially with this Godwin news, and even potentially this year, Emeka could help you this year. But I think starting next year, you're going to have an asset that's going to see a massive ADP jump in Emeka Egbuka.
I think that's a pretty good call. Obviously, Mike Evans likely winding down here, right? He hasn't made any official announcement that this is his last year, but we could all probably see that being his last year. And then you look at Chris Godwin's contract, and he's got 2025 obviously on the books. He's got his base salary for 2026 on the books guaranteed as well. After that, it's a club option. So we could see Emeka as early as 2027 kind of being the top of this depth chart, with a guy like Jalen McMillan maybe getting re-signed and being there as the number 2 kind of long term. I mean, obviously they would probably explore bringing in another option at that point as well, but I think Emeka Egbuka, within the next couple seasons, we could see him pretty easily climbing this depth chart, going from a guy that's a little bit of an afterthought or a nice to have type of guy on for that football team to like a guy that they're very they're leaning on heavily to be like the top dog there in that offense.
Yeah, would not surprise me in the least. Total package, great offense, and just a really safe player. So we're seeing his value just continue to climb, and now he's starting to like get into the range of where people were talking about Travis Hunter and Tet McMillan. Like, he is way closer to those guys than he is the rest of the draft class. Whereas I feel like early in the process, because everyone was worried about waiting on him, he was much closer to the Jaden Higgins and Matthew Goldens of the world. And now he's really pushed a lot closer to the Travis Hunters and the Tet McMillans.
Awesome. All right. So that's it. I'm going to go take a drink of liquid now. I got to drink 2 liters of something.
Good luck.
There's allegedly supposed to, clear me out, to say the least.
Let's just drink it all in one foul swoop. Just get it done with.
It says not to do that.
Too bad it's not film room season.
Go get some early film room work done, Rich.
Yeah, there you go.
Just those rankings.
All right, boys. I'll see you guys this weekend at the Fantasy Football Expo.
Absolutely. But good luck with everything tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Adios.